slash dot dash dot slash dot dash dot.
Hello and welcome to Slash Dot Dash Dot. My name's Jack and this is my top 10 games of 2017. Now I'm going to start the video by saying I can't play every single game that's released. I wish I could for you guys, but I don't have the money to do that. But you can help by subscribing to the channel right now, and maybe that will be more of a possibility in 2018. So what's it been like for gamers this year? On the whole, relatively good. We've seen the launch of the Nintendo Switch, which has given consumers a different console, as Nintendo always seem to do lately. For the last 10 years anyway, they've sort of gone left field with stuff. We've seen the rise of the Battle Royale games on Twitch mainly. It seems like everyone's doing those now. And there's been some pretty good games released along the way. So we're going to get into my top 10 of 2017. Number 10. So I'm going to start with the Nintendo Switch, and it's the only Nintendo Switch game on my list. I never got a chance to play Zelda, so that isn't going to be here, which I would imagine is going to be high on people's lists. No, but I got to play Snipper Clips for about an afternoon with my brother. He's got a Nintendo Switch, and we got to sit down and play this game together, and I was really intrigued by it. Basically, it makes use of a snipping mechanism. You're two shapes, basically, and you've got to cut into each other's shapes to help solve some physics-based puzzles. So there's a lot of cooperative puzzle game modes, and you can play up to 4 players if you have enough friends. And it's one of those games that's really beneficial if you get a group playing it. It can be a lot of fun, a lot of laughs with a group, especially if you get some alcohol into the mix. So if you've got a Switch, I recommend you head on out and pick up Snipper Clips. Number 9. Gravity Rush 2 was one of my most anticipated games for 2017. Having enjoyed the first game on PS Vita, I was really looking forward to playing Gravity Rush 2 on my PlayStation 4 and seeing how it made the jump from the portable device into the main device, the main console for Sony. What we got was a very well done game that expanded on the story from the original, and we got some new modifiers in the game that helped our character Cat get around the world. We had the Lunar ability and Jupiter ability, including our original style. So these were like game modifiers basically. In certain sections, different abilities would make you jump higher or make Cat heavier to break heavier objects in the world. It's one of those sort of kooky Japanese games. It's got a lot of what we would consider slightly strange behaviour from some of the characters, but it sort of makes it charming all round. And it's a rather long game as well. I think it took me around 30 hours. I can't remember exactly, but it's listed as supposedly to take 20 to 40 hours. If you're into this style of Japanese game, and you're into more like physics-based platforming and stuff like that, then Gravity Rush 2 is certainly one of the better games from this year. Number 8. Destiny 2 was released with expectations of raising the bar on the previous installment, which ultimately left a lot of people rather disappointed after the huge hype train that preceded it. What we got here with Destiny 2 was a slight improvement on the first one, especially when it came to the single player story, which admittedly wasn't amazing, but it was a lot better than what we got in the first game. With great gun mechanics and one of the more fun competitive multiplayers, for me, this game just sneaks in at number 8. Number 7. Crash Bandicoot came back in 2017. Well, when I say came back, he came back with a remake of the original 3 games that debuted on the PlayStation. But it was a full update with HD graphics, and the levels were actually slightly redesigned as well. There was even some added elements such as being able to do time trials in the first 2 games which weren't available on the originals. Obviously that first came in on Crash 3. It was really fun and nostalgic to jump back into this world that some of us, played 20 years ago as kids, and it gave me a real good shot of nostalgia in the arm. I've seen a lot of people saying that the game was harder. I'm not sure if I would say it was harder, but it was certainly brought you back into that time when games were a bit more difficult compared to nowadays, where every game sort of holds your hand through the levels. But such a good trip back down memory lane, and it makes it in at number 7. Number 6, Wolfenstein, the New Colossus. So this game came out on the back of the New Order, which was kind of like a soft reboot of the series, and one that I thoroughly enjoyed. And the New Colossus didn't disappoint me in any way. You've really got to get into the mindset of it being batshit crazy. This game will have you laughing in equal measure as being sort of intensely into the action. One minute you'll be mowing down Nazis, fighting like robotic enemies, and it is difficult, by the way, so get ready for that. But then the next minute you'll be in a cutscene where it's making you laugh, and it just seems so absurd. And when I say it's batshit crazy, wait till you get about maybe 2/3 of the game in, you'll be saying, what is going on here? Well worth your money if you're into first-person shooters. And as I said in my review for this channel, I'd much rather play something like this than the Call of Duty clones that we're getting over and over at the minute. Hence why it is number 6 on my list and above Destiny 2. Number 5. So I had a debate with myself about putting this one into the list at number 5, because essentially it is what you would class a DLC, but then it isn't as well, because it was a standalone game and it actually took around, I think it took me around 8 to 9 hours to complete, which most AAA first person shooters are coming at around 6 to 8 hours nowadays. So it's a full game basically. It's got that Uncharted magic that we've just come to know and expect now from Naughty Dog. And it fleshed out some of the side characters of the series, which I thought was a good move. It gave us more context into their motivations and why they are the way they are in some of the previous installments. It's just that classic climbing at walls, shooting at bad guys, and some mythology thrown into the mix with some twist elements regarding the story. I can't sing the praises of Uncharted high enough, and I've said it before on this channel. If you haven't played the Uncharted games, just go and get them. Please, for yourself, you owe it to yourself to just go and get Uncharted. Number 4. I totally missed out on South Park: The Stick of Truth. For some reason it just passed me by. I haven't really watched the television show for quite a while now, and yeah, it just slipped by. But then when I saw Fractured Butthole, the second game in the new series, was available for £40 with the Stick of Truth packed in, I thought I had to get it. So I played through both games in pretty much one sitting. I really enjoyed the Stick of Truth. I thought it was hilarious. I couldn't actually believe that Ubisoft had distributed this. I was really surprised that a company put their name to some of the jokes and stuff that South Park produces. You've all seen the television show. You know what it's capable of. Once I'd finished Stick of Truth, I dived straight into Fractured Butthole, and I have to say, it's certainly one of my favourite games of 2017. I thought it was a very well done role-playing game, as was Stick of Truth, and the only thing I did think was with Fractured Butthole was some of the jokes weren't as good or weren't as funny as in the Stick of Truth, and I don't know why that was. For whatever reason, the overall story I felt wasn't quite as good as well. Obviously, in the Stick of Truth it was a fantasy setting, and in Fractured Butthole it was the superheroes, the alter egos of our characters, our favourite characters from the show. Where it lacked in that side of things, it was made up for in the combat. Now, in Stick of Truth, it was a very standard role-playing combat system. You take your turn, I take mine, sort of back and forth. Whereas in Fractured Butthole, it was more across a grid, and it was a little bit more tactical, and you could sort of really outsmart your opponents. So I thought the game was better in that department. But overall, it did make me laugh, and I have to say it was one of the weirdest endings to a video game I've ever witnessed. Number 3. Assassin's Creed Origins brought back the game series after a year out, which seems a little bit absurd to say that it was brought back after just a year away. But this series has been like release after release after release, year on year, and it was nice to get a little bit of a break actually with the film coming out. That sort of took the place of a release, and maybe this game benefited from having that extra time, because what I would say is we got the best Assassin's Creed game since Assassin's Creed 2. It's a very familiar story actually to Assassin's Creed 2. There's a lot of the same beats in there, but enough to differentiate itself as well. There was a few missed opportunities with the story, I felt, but overall I was very satisfied with this game. I liked some of the new elements that were thrown in to make the game a little bit different from the rest of the series. And hopefully this is a step in the right direction now for the series, and if they're going to do more, which I would assume they are, they will keep this template going and make more and more better games as we go on. Number 2. Resident Evil came back so strong this year. Right at the beginning of 2017 was the release of Resident Evil 7, and it was such a return to glory for this series. Sort of stripping back from the all-action that we'd seen in Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6, and going back to more survival horror elements, and even throwing us into a first-person view, which was quite different playing a Resident Evil game that way, and it was clearly with the intention of the VR support that I still haven't played. I really want to play the VR version of this. We get to take on the Baker family, who kind of are zombies but kind of aren't. There's technically not your traditional zombies in this game, but you don't really mind when you're playing it because it's so well done. There's such a big twist as well at the end for the story, and still some unanswered questions for me leading into hopefully what will be Resident Evil 8, whenever that may be. But definitely, if you've been a fan of the series from the past and got a little bit disillusioned with 5 and 6, make sure you pick up Resident Evil 7. It's my number 2 game of 2017. Number 1. So, my number 1 game for 2017 was the only game to score a 9 rating from me on my review, and that was Horizon Zero Dawn. So this PlayStation exclusive just absolutely blew me out of the water. It had elements taken from lots of other games. It had like this sort of hunting, survival mechanics from Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, and it had like these mechs that you had to take down, which made me think of like Metal Gear Solid and other games of that ilk. It had like just such a rich story. It was in like an RPG as well, kind of like how Fallout works. It just had everything going for it, and a really likeable character in Aloy. And I haven't picked up the DLC yet, but I really want to, because I just want to be in this world more and more. Super interesting sci-fi adventure, and I can't wait to see what they do with the series going forward. Hopefully there is going to be Horizon Zero Dawn 2. And yeah, basically, if you've not played that game, go out and get it. It scored a 9 out of 10 for me, and it is my number 1 game of 2017. I might even go and play some more of it right now. Okay guys, that is my top 10 games for 2017. As I said, I don't get to play every single game that's released, and I'm mainly a PlayStation guy, so I obviously have missed some games on other consoles. Let me know what you think. I'm sure a lot of you would say that Zelda should be in there. I haven't had a chance to play it. But yeah, let us know in the comments. And make sure to subscribe for more great gaming content.